So hi everyone. Um, Once again, like every month, we come with an Insight Corner. So this month we have chosen Insight Corner topic to be biosimilar, which you can see, on the page. With me are my colleagues Swati and Babli, who have been integral part of making this presentation basically, and doing the deep dive on biosimilars. So, and then, we have, as you all know, that we have recently started to do it in a, in a discussion form of a way, basically. And then that's what, this is a second version of it. Last time, we had Prashant with one topic. Now we have another topic of biosimilar, and then we have Swati and Bubbly with us. So without further ado, let me just make an introduction with Bubbly and then Swati, and then we will start with what we have for you in terms of the biosimilar deep dive, basically, for the Insights Fund. So first is Bubbly. Bubbly is an associate consultant. She has been with us for more than 3 years, and she is an integral part of the team. She has been doing a lot of consulting projects. And another team member of mine is Swati. So Swati has recently joined, but she carries 8+ years of experience with her, and again, an expert in on oncology specifically, but also have worked in different areas. So you guys all already know me. So without further more delays, so I'll hand over it to Bubbly. But before I do that, I just want to share that our prior issues are also here. You can visit our website and see the insights, various different versions of different topics of Insights Corner, basically, and they can always be accessed from these links, basically, in our presentation. You feel free to reach us for any insights or if you want to have an access to the Insights Corner. Now, unlocking biosimilar, that's the first topic, and I'll hand over it to Bubbly to take it over. And Bubbly, feel free to, once you are done with each slide, to let me know. I'll keep on changing.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you, Himanshu, to inviting me in this discussion. My name is Bubbly, and today we will discuss about biosimilars, like what they are, why they are important, what is the market growth, and what are the future outlook, and etc. So, not wasting too much time, moving forward, let's start with fundamentals. So, in a very simple language, biosimilars are the biological medicines that are made to be very close and existing approved biologics. Like in terms like it means patients should not see any meaningful differences in how safe they are, how pure they are, and how well they work. So it is a very simple. So you can see like here is the difference between biologic, biosimilars, and biobetter on the basis of their feature, their regulatory, their cost, etc. So first we will talk about biologics. So biologics are the original brand new treatments. They take a long time and high cost to develop. Then we have biosimilars, which comes after the original products because we already know a lot about a reference biologics. Biosimilars can follow a shorter, more efficient development path. This usually makes them cheaper while still giving similar clinical results, which helps more patients get access to the treatment and can lower healthcare cost. The next is a biobetter. So these are the upgraded version of the existing biologics. For example, designed to the last longer in the body or cause reverse side effects. They are treated like completely new product and need full development again. But if they show clear benefit, they can get new patent and support premium pricing. So this is the short summary of introduction about the biosimilar. Biobetter, it's a different topic in itself. So we will also talk about in upcoming maybe IC topic. Moving forward to the next slide, it's the regulatory pathway for the biosimilars. So in US, The FDA oversees the biosimilar. If we will talk about the regulatory pathway, so in US, FDA oversees biosimilars under the 351K pathway of the Public Healthcare Service Act. This pathway is specially designed for the product that are highly similar to the already approved biologics. Then in Europe, biosimilars are regulated by the European medicine agencies under EU pharmaceutical law using a centralized procedure for the approved across member state of the EU. And the one key difference is designation, how interchangeability is handled. In the US, certain biosimilars can receive an interchangeable designations, which allows pharmacists to substitute them for the reference product if there is additional switching data. Like pharmacists can be easily switch the biologics from the biosimilar without even consulting the doctor. In EU, biosimilars are considered scientifically interchangeable, but there is no formal EU-wide interchangeable label. Instead, each country decides its own substitution rule. In both regions, comparative clinical studies are required, and they typically use a locally licensed reference product like US licensed in US and EU licensed in EU. So moving to the third slide. Yes. So the next slide is talking about the development timeline of biologic versus biosimilar. Like at the top, you can see the biologic timeline. It runs from the discovery all the way through phase 1, 2, 3 trials, typically taking around 10 to 12 years and costing close to $1 billion. In the middle, traditional biosimilars pathway. Here we will skip the discovery step, focus on the development, preclinical work, and more limited clinical programs. Usually phase 1 and phase 3. We typically do not perform the phase 2 studies because the dose, the mechanism, the overall benefit risks have already been estimated by the reference product. So this still take about 7 to 8 years to develop and cost in range to 100 to 300 million dollar. At the bottom, you can see it's a recent streamed biosimilar pathway, which is currently released by the FDA and EMA. It's a draft guidance that cut back on unnecessary clinical trials and phase 3. In this model, development can be shortened to roughly 5 to 6 years with around 50% reduction of cost.
Thank you, Bubbly, for this. Bubbly will, reconvene with us and discuss more about other aspects. Now we're moving to the strategic market analysis part, and Swati will take over this and explain things. So over to you, Swati.
Thank you, Himanshu. Next, moving forward, we would like to talk about the strategic market analysis for biosimilars. So in this, I want to talk about the total market size, the growth opportunity upcoming, and the market trends for the current biosimilars. So if we look at the graph over here, for the estimated market size, we can see an exponential growth for the biosimilars in the coming decade. Currently, the market is around 39 billion. And in the next coming 10 years, it is projected to grow 5 times of its current value, close to around $200 billion, growing at a CAGR of around 17%. So what are the key drivers that will drive this market growth? So the upcoming patent expiry of the blockbuster biologics that we have in the market is estimated to add around $170 billion of the revenue, which is an opportunity for the biosimilars. Next, the healthcare cost containment pressure from the governments, the rising burden of the chronic diseases, and regulatory support coming from the governments in streamlining the timelines by cutting unnecessary clinical studies and streamlining other processes is thought to drive this market size growth. So coming to the next slide, we wanted to talk about the market trends. So when we talk about the regulatory trends, so last year have been huge for especially immunology biosimilars. Denosumab had almost 20 biosimilars approved, both from US and EU. So it is a very significant thing for so many approvals for such a biosimilar. And next, we can talk about US has been continuing its streamlining its regulatory processes. Like it is trying to cut down the development costs. At the same time, it is trying to compete with the EU market in terms of biosimilar adoption. And WHO is also recommending to incorporate more and more use of biosimilars when compared to biologics, thinking about the cost containment pressures. Coming to the therapeutic portfolio trends, the current trend is huge for oncology and immunology biosimilars. Last few years, we could see multiple biosimilars in oncology therapeutic area for Herceptin, Avastin, and Rituxan. And same thing is happening with immunology as well in immunology portfolio as well, with multiple biosimilars for Enbrel, Remicade, and Humira. So after these two tendering portfolios, the next we could talk about is endocrinology biosimilars, with multiple biosimilars launched for denosumab. That is for the reference Biologic, Prolia, and Xgeva. Next, coming to the price trends, it is different for different therapeutic area, I would say, because it is again driven by cost pressures and discounts given by the manufacturers. More the number of competitors, more the discounts, and lesser is the so declining is the price trend for oncology biosimilars. But when it comes to ophthalmology and supportive care, we can say more or less of a mixed stable pricing or stable pricing, I should say. So next, we would like to talk country-wise. So if we talk about US is a more maturing market, I would say, when compared to the EU. Until date, till December 2025, there have been 90 biosimilar approvals for 20 biologic reference molecules. And as I said earlier, it has been streamlining its framework in terms of market access to incorporate to improve the uptake of biosimilars. And with these biosimilars in the market, the US market healthcare system has already saved around 56 billion till date. So even if we talk about average selling price of a biosimilar, it has decreased by almost 52% by the time 5 years have gone for the biosimilar. So more mature markets are having more biosimilar price reduction. Moving on to the next slide. EU has been more favorable in terms of biosimilar adoption. There was a report based on it. It is said that till July 24, they had 56 billion pounds saved in terms of healthcare cost impact because of the biosimilar adoption. The regulatory landscape is also very friendly for EU because there is no concept of interchangeability over there, and they fundamentally believe that every biosimilar approved is can be scientifically substituted because they have already proven their comparability and analytical studies. So they in EU they have a centralized approval system, and pricing and all can be set by each nation system. So it is basically a single payer system, which has led to huge biosimilar uptake in the EU when compared to the US. Coming to India, India is also has the largest biosimilar portfolios worldwide. It has till date 146 biosimilars approved. And if we talk about trends, there's a huge player, Biocon. It is so much active in international deals. We can see biosimilar. We can probably see biosimilar boom in India. also supported by government policies based on the recent union budget, which has incorporated the policy of investing around 10,000 crores in the next upcoming 5 years. So this is going to be a boost for biosimilar adoption, and this will help the huge domestic players like Intas, Dr. Reddy's, Zydus, and so on. So next after India, if we want to talk about Asia Pacific region, I would like to tell that China, South Korea, and India are booming like anything in terms of biosimilar market, because there has been a strong regulatory streamlining processes going on, that is support from the government coming in, and based on the international deals happening in these three regions, we can say these are the three major upcoming Asia Pacific markets to look upon. So moving to the next slide, market trends in emerging therapy areas. So in the previous slides, we have talked about how oncology and immunology biosimilars have been dominating the current biosimilar market. So after them, the next best to be talked about is the endocrinology therapeutic area. So the next wave that is going to happen in biosimilar market is particularly maybe the Trulicity biosimilars in the upcoming years, because that has a huge market everywhere, led by diabetes and obesity patients in the current scenario. After endocrinology, I would like to talk about ophtha market, where it is dominated by biosimilar pipeline is currently flooded with anti-VEGF pipeline. So the next trend we can see after onco, immuno, and endocrino should be ophthalmology. And not only up to this, the therapeutic areas like neurology and rare diseases, which are considered more complex when compared to the other TAs, we have been seeing pipeline in this emerging in these sectors as well. Last year only in 2025, we had a recent approval for an multiple sclerosis biosimilar from Pharma Biologics, and this is maybe the first neurology biosimilar till date in the market, and we can see many upcoming biosimilars in the market as well. So next, moving to market entry barriers. So till now, we have been talking about what are biosimilars, how its uptake have been, how the trends have been. But before entering the market, there is multiple complexities faced by biosimilars when compared to generics. And I would like to discuss about them in this slide. So the first one is the regulatory complexity. Biosimilars and biologics are in itself are very intricate and complex molecules. So even though compared to generics, biosimilars are very complex, and establishing its analytical testing, the PK/PD studies, the compatibility studies, and immunogenicity is a very huge thing that is going to impact the development cost and timeline. So this is a huge barrier to develop, and it is impacting all over the global thing. So next barrier I wanted to discuss is patent thickets. It is often generally referred as patent dance as well currently, because every biologics beyond their core patent, compound patent, it is being protected by other patents for its formulations. I mean, there are multiple secondary patents with reference to its manufacturing processes, its dosing regimens, indications, formulation. So this is actually where pretty much influencing the market entry timing of the biosimilars, and its impact is huge. For example, we can tell that Humira, it has almost like more than 250 plus patents, secondary patents, not even the core patents protecting it, and it is going to be the battle is still going on. So the third very most important barrier I wanted to discuss about is rebate walls. It is particularly in the US, due to the fact that that market is hugely run by pharmacy benefit managers and other insurers. So, and there is no direct national health system involved. So, what is this rebate wall? So, biologics protect their territory by giving huge rebates of almost 70 to 80% for an exclusive formulary placement. So, due to this exclusive formulary placement run by rebate wall, biosimilars find it difficult to find their place in the formulary, and in turn, the patient access gets lessened because of this. It is exclusively in the US. So, after this, I want to discuss about physician inertia. This is also particularly in the US because the interchangeability concept is currently present only in the US, and physicians resist because they resist to switch their patients to biosimilars because they somewhere think that they are less biosimilars are inferior to biologics in terms of efficacy. So that has a moderate impact. It can be worked upon by physician awareness and education. Data exclusivity, the next point. So biologics are protected by regulatory exclusivity almost 12 years, and in the EU almost 10 years. So during this time, biosimilars cannot enter. So again, it will influence the market entry timing. Co-pay accumulator programs, the variations in this co-pay accumulator program caused by PBMs is causing more and more out-of-pocket expenditure due to biosimilar adoption rather than a biologic. So it is causing a wall to switch patients from biologics to biosimilars. Again, patient support infrastructure although has a lesser impact, but compared to generics, it is a huge barrier because they will need to have that infrastructure for maintenance and patient dispensing. Group purchasing organization, particularly seen in hospital channels, where replacing a biologic with a biosimilar or replacing one biosimilar with another cannot be bridged upon so easily because of the huge discounts they are giving. So this is all what I wanted to discuss about market entry barriers, having a combination of all regulatory, legal, commercial, and behavioral barriers. So then this is all about it. And I would like to hand over this to Himanshu to talk about the deals and funding in biosimilars.
So thank you so much, Swati. So where deals meet the opportunity, basically, that's what we are trying to talk about. So let me take you through this. Basically, I want to say this, that the biosimilar market isn't just growing, it is accelerating dramatically. And then let me just show you how it is being, how it is happening basically. So, yeah, so between 2000 and from 2021 to 25, we have witnessed a surge of 121% basically in the biosimilar deals activity. So in 2021, there were approximately 19 deals, and in 2025, if there are approximately 42 deals which have happened. So this shows a very accelerating pattern basically from here, right? And the first 3 years, 21 to 23, it was a gradual growth, but 24 and 25 has picked it up and then take it up to the notch basically. And which a lot of our audience would also agree that in last 2 years, it is also visible in the number of deals, it is number of approvals. It is very evidently visible that, lot many deals are happening, lot many approvals are happening. There have been localized deals, there have been global deals. Some of the very big players have made deals with the regional players to market or create the access of the product to the local audience basically, or people who can't afford basically. So in 2025, the biggest thing was that 42 deals have happened, which is a huge number, and then it is quite a big. So basically, what you can understand between 3 years, they were just, uh, 19 deals altogether, and then gradually, sorry, in 21 it was just 19 deals, and it has grown to 42 in 2025. Now talking about specific therapy areas, which is on the right side of the slide, basically. So if we talk about, uh, you know, where the money is lying, basically, or where the money is going. So obviously, now two very evident, and even if we don't look at this slide, a lot of people, if I ask randomly to to the strategists and analysts, they would very clearly say oncology and autoimmune or immunology being the top ones, basically, and that is also which is being shown here. That autoimmune and oncology are, and this is by the sheer volume size also. See, a lot of innovations are happening in both these spaces. So hence, on a similar scale, product are losing patents, and when with they are losing patent, biosimilars are coming into the place, basically, right? But in this space, we are seeing a lot of deals also now because we are talking about deals. So let's focus. If I focus on that, so oncology has been steady player. Started with 5 deals, and in 2025 there were 9 deals. It's a decent number when you talk about oncology. Now, in terms of autoimmune, that is changed from uh, from 6 deals in 2023 to approximately 12 deals in 2025. So, it has been taking a priority, and then strong margins are there. And another factor for such deals and focus on these two areas is because uh, pricing and reimbursements, there are stronger margins and a lot of market access in oncology and autoimmune space. So all in all, that's what the clear picture in terms of deals, biosimilar deals, basically, the clear picture is that, oncology and autoimmune takes the place. Last 2 years have been last 2 years have been a higher side of the roller coaster ride, and then obviously, yeah, there have been multiple deals. Even in if you, I have this written over here that in 2026, which is, we have taken data till February only. So in that context, if you see that there are already 2 deals which have happened in 2026, so which is a fantastic thing. These deals were one in oncology, one in ophthalmology. So yeah, moving forward from here. So these are exclusivity laws, basically. We have tried to see why. So patent cliff creates an basically we're talking here about the patent cliffs, and patent cliffs creates an opportunity for non-innovator company or companies who want to get into the biologics or in that space, basically. So that creates a an opportunity or how should I say, a chance for them to get into the market. And then, so yeah, now if we specifically talk about 4 or 5 companies, if we talk about specifically, so this slide is broken in 2 parts. In this part, if we see, Eli Lilly seems to have what 7 molecules which are losing patent by 2036 in the near term window. If I see the IV assets, basically, of Trulicity, um, um, uh, Cyramza, they are losing their patents, basically, but yes, these are kind of mature products. Eli Lilly already has a backup product for both these molecules. They are developing more solutions and more products to back up these products. So it's not gonna impact huge on Eli Lilly, but again, but it's still, the impact is still an impact. Now, one of the very big name which is already existing on this piece of slide, basically on this first slide, which is Keytruda. I want to emphasize on that. It's again a near-term, a patent loss. Obviously, Merck is working on a different LCM strategies to elongate or to prolong the exclusivity for Keytruda. But yeah, I mean, 2028, not too far. Keytruda is one of the, and for last 2 to 3 years, it has been one of the most sold product, right? And so yeah, that makes there's going to be a huge impact on Merck. But Merck is working on counter strategies, uh, with organically and inorganically both. They are acquiring a lot of products. They are obviously working on increasing the life cycle of Keytruda by coming up with SC formulation, with pediatric indications, different patient segments within the approved indications. So those have been the strategies which Merck is working on. Now, moving on to the next slide, if we talk about, even Merck's Olex, Keytruda Olex, basically, its patent expire is expected in 2043, so which is long. And that's what I was talking about. And now some of the big names like Pfizer's and Johnson & Johnson are again going to be impacted. Johnson & Johnson's Darzalex, which is daratumumab, which is approved and kind of a blockbuster in multiple myeloma. It's also a standard of care in certain lines. So that is there. Then we have Padcev. Padcev is a newly approved, not too far. It got recently approved. But again, patent cliff is not too far behind, 6-7 years down the line. The patent expiry is there. But yes, Pfizer is working on, again, in this context, if I talk about Pfizer is working on multiple strategies. Like for Padcev, they are already exploring combination therapies with multiple other, immunotherapies, basically multiple immunotherapies. Similar goes with Tivdak and a couple of other molecules. Now, Skirizi is itself a follow-on product basically for Humira, and we can see AbbVie is struggling. But yes, again, AbbVie is working on an inorganic strategy of extending the life cycle of these two products, basically. For this product, Skirizi, Humira is still, comes in top 20 products. So that is commendable. Now, moving on. So who's in the game, basically? If I talk about, I think mapping the biosimilar landscape and the market leaders. So I'll again hand over it to Bubbly to take us through what these slides are talking about. Over to you, Bubbly.
Okay, thank you, Manshu. So this slide is about the landscape of approved and launched biosimilar in across therapeutic area in US. So we have segregated it in 4 sections, like therapy area, molecules, their API, parent product, the biologic, the original product, and their indications. So we will talk about here how many biosimilars have been launched and have been approved yet 2025. So first we will talk about oncology. So first is Bevacizumab. Bevacizumab, the brand name is Avastin. It's the original biologic of Genentech, which was approved in 2004 for CRC, colorectal cancer, NSCLC, glioblastoma, RCC, cervical cancer, and so on. So if you can see, there are 4 biosimilars have been launched and 2 biosimilars have been approved yet. For all these, as you can see, all the biosimilars have been approved for all the indications except hepatocellular carcinoma, because hepatocellular carcinoma has has not yet lost its patent exclusivity. So, moving to the trastuzumab, Herceptin, it's the again the original product of Genentech, which was approved in 1998 for the breast cancer and gastric cancer. Here is also six approved biosimilars of this biologic, in which five biosimilars have been launched yet, and one biosimilar is approved only. And moving to the rituximab, Rituxan is also again it's a original molecule of Genentech and Biogen, which was approved in 1997 for NHL, CLL, rheumatoid arthritis, and etc. There are three biosimilars have been approved for this of this reference molecule. They all are launched yet, and these biosimilars again not launched or not approved for Femifigus vulgaris because it is also has its patent exclusivity yet. Moving to the pertuzumab. So it's again original product of Genentech, which was approved in 2012 for the breast cancer. Recently, in 2025, one interchangeable biosimilars has been approved of the organon by the organon. So it is only approved yet not launched, not in the market right now, and it is also approved for the same indication of the reference biologic. These are the biosimilar market of the oncology. Then moving to the hematology, eculizumab solaris is the original product of Elexon that was approved in 2007 for a PNH, AHU syndrome, generalized myasthenia gravis, and NMOSD. There are only two biosimilars approved in 2024. These biosimilars only approved yet, not launched in US right now. And both biosimilars are not approved for NMOSD because of the patent protection of this indication. Then moving to the musculoskeletal, teriparatide. It's the original product of Eli, which was approved in 1987. Okay. Then we will talk about in next slide of it is obviously we are talking about US market. So it's endocrinology. So as you can see, we will talk about the denosumab, which is the product of Amgen originally, and with a same API, there are two brand names. They have been launched in the market in 2010. So first is Prolia, is just for osteoporosis, and second is Jeva. This is for multiple myeloma and bone metastasis from solid tumors and giant cell tumor of the bone and hypercalcemia of malignancy. So you can see like in 2024, there was only one biosimilar has been approved. That was approved by the Sandoz originally. And like if you can see, there are multiple biosimilars have been approved and launched in 2025. Like if I will talk about, we will talk about, you will notice that across this landscape that the oncology dominates in terms of both the number of reference products in the biosimilar competitions, reflecting in the high unmet need, large market size, and significant cost saving opportunities for healthcare systems. You will also see that the most of the biosimilar approvals and launches have occurred between 2017 and 2025, showing the relatively recent maturations of the US market. So moving to the next slide. So here is also a landscape of approved and launched biosimilar, but in Europe market. So as you can see, here is also same therapy area we have presented. First is oncology and then hematology. First, bevacizumab. So there are 8 biosimilars have been launched here. They all are launched as launched for the same indication as for the reference biologics. Then moving to the trastuzumab, here is also a 9 biosimilars have been approved, in which 6 biosimilars have been launched and 3 has been approved only. They all are approved for the same indication of the reference biologics. So moving to the rituximab, is MabThera, originated by the Genentech, original product of Genentech, which was approved in 1998. Here is 6 biosimilars has been approved, and they all are launched in the market, like 2017 to 2024. Then moving to the hematology, eculizumab that was approved in 2007. There's also 2 biosimilars have been launched in the market in 2023, which is not approved for generalized myasthenia gravis and NMOSD because of their patent exclusivity. So moving to the next slide. Then musculoskeletal, teriparatide. So there are 4 biosimilars of this biologic, which was approved in 2003. So from 2017 to 2022, they have launched 4 biosimilars. Like they all are launched in the EU market. And moving to the denosumab. So here again in 2025, lots of approvals have been done and of the denosumab. So if we will talk about what's the remarkable here is concentration of activity in 2024 and 2025. That's showing the denosumab biosimilars are very recent additional in US and EU market. That reflects both the expiration of the key patents and the growing confidence of the biosimilar developers in the taking complex monoclonal antibodies. You will also notice multiple companies have launched 2 separate brands, one for Prolia, one for Zeva, reflecting the different clinical context and market dynamic for the osteoporosis versus oncology related bone conditions. This is a strategic approach to maximize the market coverage across the both therapeutic area for the denosumab. So moving to the next slide, it's a company profile of Sandoz. It's the one of the leading biosimilar company. So here you can see the company's bit snapshot that what is the revenue of the FY 2025. So they gained 11.1 billion. Like company reported solid financial growth in 2025 with the net sale increasing to 11.1 billion from 10.4 billion in 2024 with the 5% constant currency growth. Biosimilar contributed 30% of the total sales in the 2025. In 2025, Sandoz issued new bond and secured a 2 billion credit facility to the strengthen in the financial positions. So if we will talk about the region, so in Europe, 5.9 billion they have reported in 2025 and 2.7 billion internationally and 2.4 billion in US. Moving to the next slide. Okay. So if we will talk about the pipeline, so approx 400, of course, Sandoz is a generic and biosimilar both. So approx 400 generic assets in development addressing and in original sales, 27 biosimilars currently in development, covering approx 59% of biosimilars LOE value opportunities, 65% of coverage of generic clause of the exclusivity opportunities by the value, and 5 assets in regulatory review or approaching launch. Recent and upcoming launches from 2025 to 2026. Major biosimilars launches in 2025. There are 3 biosimilars have launched in US in 2025 and 2 biosimilars launched in 2025 in EU. The key generic, there are 3 generics have been launched in 2025 and expected launches in 2026 in US. So 2 biosimilars they are expecting to launch in 2026 in US. Then if we will talk about pipeline highlights, trastuzumab under regulatory review in the US right now, bevacizumab under regulatory review in US and EU, insulin analogs including Glargine, Aspart, Lispro under regulatory review, pembrolizumab in clinical development and nivolumab in clinical development phase. Development portfolio, 7 assets in technical development, 9 in early development, and 6 in clinical development. If we will talk about the GLP-1 strategy of the Sandoz, Sandoz plan early GLP-1 launches in select market from the 2026, expansion into the US and Europe with the targeted product by 2031 to 2035, followed by the next generation in creatine therapies after 2035. to sustain growth and the competitiveness. Now we will talk about the strategic partnership in 2025. Ustekinumab launched Q1 2025 primarily via private label strategy in partnership with Samsung Biopsys Biopis in 2025 signed an agreement with the Henlius to commercialize and ipilimumab biosimilar. In April 2025, Sandoz decided to minimize the phase 3 study for its pembrolizumab in the line of regulatory discussion and involving biosimilar development framework, which significantly reduced development timeline and the cost. So this is all about the company profile of Sandoz.
Yeah. So moving forward, we'll be talking about the evolving regulatory framework. So what the organizations like FDA, EMA, PBMs, so we will be talking about those frameworks. Swati will take over on this one and talk about what's happening in terms of regulatory and market access, reimbursement, and whatnot. She'll share her views on that. Swati, over to you.
Thank you, Himanshu. So in the previous slides, we have talked about the regulatory pathways for specifically for the biosimilar approvals. Now here we wanted to talk about the regulatory shift, how biosimilars are actually transforming the specialty pharmacies. So we'll be talking exclusively about the US here, how the regulatory has evolved over the years. So when talking about this, I would like to talk about the BPCIA, which is the Biologics Price Competition and Innovation Act, which was enacted in around 2010. So this was created to have an abbreviated pathway for biosimilars. So the main funda behind this was to cut the development cost for the biosimilars and improve the market access for them while fostering competition to have better pricing. So after this act was enacted, the first biosimilar that came into the US market was in 2015. It was Zasio, a biosimilar by Sandoz, actually, and followed by it, multiple biosimilars came in around the years. The first expanding access, when we talk about it, was seen around 2016 to 2018, where we could see multiple MAB approvals for biosimilars. So more patients were getting access to this treatments, to the biologic treatment through these biosimilars. The next wave, if we would like to talk about, what happened when the FDA put a clear guidance, a set of final rules on interchangeability. So basically on the switching studies needed so that the biosimilar has an interchangeability designation so that it can be easily substituted at pharmacy level with a biosimilar. The biologic can be substituted with a biosimilar. So these set of rules came in 2019. But this was also actually slowing down the adoption of biosimilars, as well as there were more switching studies needed for biosimilars, and again acting as a barrier, creating a slow uptake in the market. So this was that phase. And the next phase I would like to talk about in the recent past years, between 22 to 24, when there was a huge biosimilar approval, especially for inflammatory diseases. The notable ones being the adalimumab, that is Humira biosimilars, as well as infliximab. And now we can also see denosumab last year as well. So this was a huge in terms of patient access to biologic therapies. And as we talked about, FDA has been continuously working to streamline its regulations in order to cut down the developmental costs, in order to bring a biosimilar faster into the market, considering the healthcare cost of the high-cost biologics. So that is when this happened. They drafted a guidance last year in November 2025 on the interchangeability, and streamlining the studies. So in the draft, they have said that the manufacturers can cut down on unnecessary clinical studies. That is basically some studies in phase 3, when the comparability of biosimilar can be established through its analytical testing as well. So this is huge, and huge for US market, because it is trying to go and make up to the speed with the EU. So coming to the next slide, we would like to point about 2 case studies that happened because of all the streamlining. So recently, all this happened last year. Keytruda biosimilar, one developed by Sandoz. So Sandoz has announced that it will not go ahead with all the clinical study phase 3 testing. Based on the recent FDA guidance, and they have talked with the regulators that those extra studies would not be needed. The same case with Formicon. It has announced that it will terminate its phase 3 trial, and they're relying more on the phase 1 data and analytical evidence generated from it for the approval. So here, this is where we are trying, this is a slide where we are also trying to map the difference between the US and the EU. Now US has been slowly adopting, it is also accepting the non-US reference products for comparative clinical data of the biosimilars. They are cutting down the unnecessary clinical trials to speed up the approvals. So all this is reducing uncertainty. They are based on this, they are facilitating pharmacy level substitution. So there's this data that is till 2024, there were almost 9 interchangeable biosimilars that were approved without needing any additional switching studies. And they have good real world evidences till data that there is no clinically impactful difference from the biologics. Well, and when we talk about EU, there has never been an interchangeable concept because they fundamentally agree that all biosimilars are scientifically, clinically similar to biologics. So they could be substituted. So this is all about the regulations. And moving on to the next slide. So we would like to talk about market access. So that is all about the pricing and reimbursement model. So in these slides, we have tried to focus only for US and the EU because they are very complex and completely distinct markets from each other. In US, the market access is controlled by payers and pharmacy benefit managers, whereas in EU, it is single payer system, national health system, where a centralized or a national health system controls all of it, whereas the private players controls the market in the US. And due to this maybe major difference, we can say that EU has a faster biosimilar uptake. US had its first biosimilar approval in 2015, but in EU, it was already a mature market because it had its first biosimilar way before in almost 2008. So this lack of tender system and substitution policies have made EU ahead of US. So if we talk about the reimbursement system first, US has its biosimilar reimbursed through three parts under Medicare Part B, under which all the physician administered medications, I mean biosimilars, are covered, and they have their own set of rules set by Inflation Reduction Act on the pricing of the biosimilars and the part that will go to the providers. And pharmacy dispensed biosimilars, which includes insulins that can be self-injected by the patients, are covered under Medicare Part D. And the third payer is the commercial payers, which the patients buy on their own at a commercial level. So, in order to improve the biosimilar use, the commercial payer system also has mandated few things like step-up therapy and non-medical switching policies, which is nothing but they have to uh, uh, mandate the use of biosimilar first. And if it is not working out for them, then only they can move to biologic. Otherwise, they have to stick to the biosimilar, low-cost biosimilar therapy if they are benefiting out of it. Coming to the EU. In EU, the healthcare is managed by single payer national health system. So here the government has implemented national tenders. So where the manufacturers bid for an exclusive right to supply the entire country. So this bidding creates massive discounts for biosimilars. So this is what is running the biosimilar adoption. And they're also well aligned with incentives, like physician gets incentive for prescribing biosimilars when compared to biologics. So they have their own incentive system, which is driving this biosimilar adoption and uptake in EU. And although the approval system is centralized, but pricing and reimbursement is nationalized. They can have, with a very slight variations, they can, each EU member country can have their own set of rules for it with very slight variations. So this is all about pricing and reimbursement in the US and the EU. Moving forward to the next slide. Here I wanted to talk about the adoption challenges. We talked about the uh, rebate walls in the previous slides, like how the innovator biologic companies are trying to secure their place in the formulary and delaying the biosimilar into the market. So this happened particularly with Humira, adalimumab. So after the patent expiry, almost 9 biosimilars entered the US market in 2023. But at the end of the year, all we could see was that the market uptake was less than 2%. So after all the research and all, the patients and the healthcare organizers came to know that the pharmacy benefit managers have exclusively placed Humira in their formulary list because of the huge rebates, almost like 70 to 80% rebates they were getting from the originator manufacturers. So when we talk about 72%, 70 to 80% rebate from originators, it's very huge compared to the discount that is coming from biosimilars. So that formulary exclusivity helped out the originators to delay biosimilar uptake for at least 1 year. But after that, due to external pressures from the policymakers and the public, due to this lack of transparency and the high cost biologic therapy, the pharmacy benefit managers like this Express Scripts, CVS, and Optum, these three PBMs almost control 80% of the PBM market, these three players. So they were forced to eliminate Humira from their formulary, placing other biosimilars. So after this happened, the Humira market almost plummeted overnight. And here on the right side, we can see the formulary coverage as of 2025. There are more of biosimilars placed in the formularies, and they have been given a wholesale acquisition cost discount of almost 85%. And the originator market placement is almost nil. So this is about the US biosimilar adoption challenges I wanted to talk about through the case study. Next, I want to have Himanshu to talk about the future outlook for the biosimilars. Over to you, Himanshu.
Thank you, Swati. So, um, the future, which we are talking about for the biosimilars, we're all calling it a biosimilar 2.0, right? And this is a new paradigm in a way. The reason is because the previous biologics also and even the biosimilars also, they were traditionally made, traditionally identified, and and processed basically. But now the biosimilars which are coming up in the market, the likes of biosimilars of Keytruda, the ones who are already in the clinical stage, probably they might not, but the upcoming ones basically. So they are being transformed with the incorporation of advanced technologies. For example, AI enabled or driven bioprocessing. So a lot of automated system, closed loop systems have been developed, bioprocessors and bioreactors, right? High throughput screening was already there, but again, now they are newer technologies have come in and they have tried to introduce, more complex methods or more complex analytical methods to develop these biosimilars. Now, even the development pathway basically is enhanced or is evolved basically over the time. Initially, when we the companies the likes of Celtrion, Samsung Bioepis and Tevas of the world basically, when they started developing biosimilars, they had to go through preclinical phase 1, then phase 3. They do not have to do any phase 2, but phase 1 and phase 3 were required. Then the concept of interchangeability came in. Now it has been further evolved that PKPD study is more than enough for harmonization. Phase 1 study is enough to get the benchmark of the to set a benchmark for biosimilars basically. So that has been a more very important factor. Now, another thing which has come into play is analytics and RWE basically. So real world evidence has also been a crucial change basically in the coming years. Basically, if I talk about at the moment, a lot of companies are using RWE analysis to to get the approvals in the extended indications where the biosimilar might not be approved, but they are trying to use RWE analysis to get the approval. RWE analysis along with the phase 1 studies were used to get approval. So there are a lot of when I say a lot of changes are happening, and that's why we are calling them biosimilar. The era is being called as biosimilar 2.0. Now talking about the growth factor, the market growth. So the market is exponentially grow. I mean, so far we have spoken about the advancements and all that, but what are the opportunities? The opportunities are very big. It is considered by mid 2030, which let's assume 2035, the market is expected to reach between $190 billion to $200 billion. With very conservative estimate also, if I could talk about, let's consider $190 billion is a huge, huge market basically. So biosimilars as an industry, it is going by the rate, by the CAGR rate of 17-18% basically. And this is mostly driven by cost-effective biosimilar drugs, adoption of the regulatory adoption, where regulatory bodies have come up with a lot of new frameworks, and they have shown interest in developing, and then promoted development of these biosimilars. In terms of again market growth, no-brainers. Oncology biosimilars, remains on the top with growth percentage, which is 18.5, which is even higher than the overall growth market growth, right? And China leads the adoption with policies like volume-based procurement and saving billions of dollars. So China if we consider China as one industry or one manufacturing facility, basically, not as a country. They have always played a game. Whichever industry you go, they've always played a game of volume-based procurement. They kind of, I don't want to use the word dump, but uh, uh, they 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 bombard the system or the countries with their products, and when the supply is more, the supply is more, and so it reduces down the cost, basically, and that's what China is still doing. um, we have seen, or we will be seeing, I mean, with the approvals, deals, and everything, we have already seen this, that there are a lot of accelerated approval pathways and partnerships which are going on, right? Again, strategic drivers, one which is very evident and we all know about it is the patent cliff. A lot of products are about to lose their patent. But another important factor which is driving this biosimilar, um, uh, you know, uh, rush, basically, is because of the CDMOs which have come into place. So far, there were only, the company who wants to sell the product was developing the product and selling on their own, or was partnering with, other companies to sell the products, basically. So, taking an example, company like Celtrion, they developed a biosimilar. They sold the rights of US rights to Teva or XYZ other companies, and sold the products. But now it has literally become it has become a CDMO market where, the likes of API companies have been developed. So these companies are developing products. One can just go buy the product from them and um sell it in the different markets, basically. So these CDMO services, and are obviously, because these CDMO services have their own facility, volume-based system is there. So hence, I would say, you know, this has been in my view, this has been the one of the biggest driver, right? Um, in terms of implication, there are 180 biologics which are facing patent expiry, which includes the biggest blockbuster, Keytruda. One thing I don't know if you all have noticed, I just want to say this, how great it is. Two different companies are developing PD-1s, basically. One is Keytruda, one is Nivolumab, right? But there is one company, Sandoz, who's developing both those products, basically. Both the biosimilars of both the products, basically, and it will be sold by the one company, basically. So biosimilars are even, erasing the difference between two different competitors from same class, so yeah, that's something which an anecdote I wanted to share. Now, obviously, the market is being attracted by a lot of investors, bigger pharma companies, smaller pharma companies, private equities, investors are there. Now, moving on, I just wanted to close this slide with that. The future of biosimilar is very bright. The the industry is going through a big turmoil, and this is a domain. Biosimilars is a domain which is not gonna see a downfall. The reason is because there are a lot of biologics being developed, and because of their benefits, biologics being developed, ADC is being developed. So biosimilars are going to see a lot of you know boom in the coming future, and the market is going to grow like anything. Now, moving on, we want to close the day or the presentation I know we have already taken a lot of time with you guys. So we want to close this with social noise and the social media analysis. Uh, this is kind of self-explanatory. We have tried to use phrases on LinkedIn and Twitter, which you can see that in last 6 months from September to February, both on LinkedIn and Twitter, or now called X, basically, we have seen a decent amount of buzz uh, in terms of keywords of biosimilars, basically, right? Denosumab approval was the peak buzz on Twitter, and there was a big buzz about on in terms of post 20 FDA approvals, to 20 FDA biosimilar approvals in 2025. So that has been so far it has been the biggest year for biosimilars to be approved by FDA. So yes, as I was saying, the JPM around. Uh, in and around JPM, a lot of CEOs were selling this concept of golden decade for and interchangeability, basically, for biosimilars. So yeah, so that's that. Now, when we talk about Google Trends, so we looked into multiple keywords, molecules on Google Trends, and the biggest hike which you can see in November. Here it is very evidently visible, which you can see here. And not just though the product which was approved by was pertuzumab, basically the pertuzumab biosimilar was approved, but you can see the highest point in all the products is more or less in the November, in the November 2025, because pertuzumab's biosimilar, Poherdy, was approved as an interchangeable biosimilar. So yeah, in 2026, JPM shifted towards the next wave, and then my team has already spoken about. I think Bubbly was talking about Biocon and Samsung Biotis. So yes, these have been the talk of the town during JPM. So yeah, all in all, this was our analysis on or deep dive in the biosimilars space of Insights Corner for this month. For next month, we will coming up with a new idea, and we are working on cell therapy, basically, for the next version. And if in case you are interested to, you can check out this website, basically. You can download our analysis from our website, from the Insights Corner page, and you can directly download it from there. And apart from that, if you feel that we can add value to your your strategy, basically, or your go-to-market strategy in the biosimilar space or any other space, feel free to reach me or Rakesh over our emails or on our LinkedIn's, basically, and we'll be more than happy to discuss it with you. So thank you so much for your patience, and I know this has become a little longer, but I feel that it might have added some intelligence, insights, and values to you guys. So thank you so much. Have a lovely month. Thank you. Bye bye.